Welcome back.
Welcome back to Coven Co on the go.
Hey. Okay, so one thing, first and foremost, that I noticed in the last episode is that I like to talk up and down. And I'm going to try to keep my voice regulated so that y'all can hear me all of the time. My bad. Look, I love that. Can we get a heart too? Can we get a heart? No, just the likes. Okay. I tried.
Maybe it's like too many emojis, girls. Too many emojis.
Too many.
Today we're going to be talking about the Wheel of the Year.
Yes, we are.
So the seasons of witchery, if you will,
and the types of witches.
Pretty much, because there's so many. All right, I'm gonna let you start off.
Let's
Mama.
give her. Are we gonna start with this one, or should we start? Excuse me.
Wherever.
Or should we start here?
Wherever your heart desires.
I feel like we should start here. Isn't this technically the beginning?
Do it up, girlfriend.
All right. We're going to start at the beginning, which for the witches is October 31st, Samhain, also known as Halloween. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much do you love Halloween? You need to get over here and get into frame. Like, where is she?
I know. I'm just going to be awkwardly like, oh, hey. This episode, there's no Amanda. I was letting you like take over, and I was just,
you need to seriously get back in the frame.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention.
Come on now.
I'm sorry.
Come on now. Okay. I love Halloween a lot. I've come to love Halloween more and more as an adult. It kind of like fell off for me a little bit in like my early 20s. I wasn't as in love with Halloween as I was when I was a kid. And then my love for it grew again, and definitely grew even more since having kids. So yeah, I love Halloween.
I loved Halloween, but my parents always made it such a chore that I really kind of like cut it back for Halloween. So Christmas was a little bit more of my jam until I got older, and always internally felt that season change, you know, like I could feel it, and then it pulled me back.
Pulls us back. Also, Halloween can very much feel like a chore, especially to the parents who have to get the little ones ready, but they've just worked all day, and little ones go out at like 5:30, so you're trying to eat dinner and then get your kids ready, but there's like super small kids already showing up at your door, and it is a little frantic, and it does feel like a chore for the parents sometimes. Yeah. So
she's a lot.
Yeah. So this is a huge day for witches. It is the Celtic New Year. It is a time of abundance, bonfires, protection, safety, and community feasting. The origin purpose of this holiday was to destroy anything negative left over from the devious year or previous year? The previous year.
Devious.
Devious also fits. Let's be honest. So you write down what you want to get rid of and offer it to the flames of Samhain. It is also a reminder that death is not to be feared. It is all a part of the cycle. We are born, we live, we die, and we are reborn. This is why ghosts and graves are so popular at this time of the year. Also in Mexico, November 2nd is the Day of the Dead. It has Aztec roots. Skulls and skeletons are filled with flowers and are used to celebrate. Of course, the beautiful movie Coco.
I actually never watched that whole movie. Okay, if we could just pause. I love that their culture doesn't fear death.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
And it celebrates it, and I just feel like it's such a nicer way to grieve.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
You know, like it's just. So I feel like here we're like, yeah, but I'm in my sorrow, and like there's like the celebration. I feel that so much more.
I do as well, and it's interesting. This past June, I lost a lot of people. June is never a fun month. And I said to my mom after we lost my grandpa that I feel like since he hasn't had or been able to be with us here on this plane, he's been in a nursing home and not well. I said, now it's so exciting. He gets to go over to his next journey on the other side and do his spiritual work. And like, he gets to come back and touch all of our lives again in ways that are so different and so new, but also so comforting. And yeah. So I love to look at it that way. Like, they have new purpose on the other side, and we also get to be on that journey with them, whether we choose to recognize it or not. And it's just beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. So the bright flowers are cheerful and colorful that balance out the sadness that comes from missing a loved one. The druids and pagans wear masks at Samhain to disguise themselves from, I don't want to say it wrong, city or troublemaking spirits. So we were free to travel around without attracting the attention of fae or the dead because they were in disguise. We leave offerings to the spirits as they roam, like pumpkins. And it is in the belief system that on this day, the god dies and the goddess is in mourning. And that is why the emphasis lies so highly on death, because the god represents the earth and sun. And now our goddess turns to crone to walk the earth along until the god is reborn. Mm-hmm. And so Samhain is technically the beginning of our new year.
It's always such a sad story, because it's like, she gets all like built up for like this love, and then it's lost. It always makes me feel really sad. Interesting side note. We mentioned the fae. Let's talk about the fae for a second, because they're going to come up a lot in the Wheel of the Year, because they hold so much when it comes to the times, the flowers, like the seasons, right? We seem to think that they are related to like spring and summer and they're all year round. And, the leprechauns and all that, those are all also considered fae. Fae are mischievous. They can be evil. Like there is like some very dark fae. And you have to remember, they're like tricksters, right? So when do we draw a line on what's tricking too far, right? So if you are going to work with them at any time of the year, please proceed with caution.
And protect yourself accordingly.
Yes.
Now, as for like the foods and activities and the colors and the themes, girl, friend, go to Google or go to Pinterest. You're going to want to, look it up. You're going to get lists and lists, and then you're going to use the things that call to you for that season. And next season, they might be completely different. So I personally like to look them up and be like, oh, I'm going to use this color. I'm going to use obviously black and orange
Mm-hmm.
Halloween. But as for the foods and stuff, I feel like every year I change it up a little bit. It's not always the same thing every single year. And like my ritual, I do a little bit of a different ritual every single year. Like I
am a little opposite. I have, which is very weird now that I'm thinking about it. I have very set colors. So it is orange, yellow, black, and burgundy. Those are all 4 colors. We are doing it. And I always use bread in my ritual, and I have the same ritual pretty much. And if you look up Aurora Lightbringer, she has like these really great children's books, like talking about the Wheel of the Year. But one of my favorite pictures, and I wish I brought the book down, is when she talks about Samhain. They have like a circle, and you can see all essentially the loved ones that have passed, like in a circle around it, and it's like just this really beautiful picture. But it was funny because when I bought that book, and after I had done a few of them and I showed the kids and whatever, I was like, that's exactly how I feel in my ritual. Like I can feel all my ancestors and all of the people that I bring in. Like I have this like shield of like people and things, and I can't even like just describe the feeling. Like I don't want to say it's not powerful and it's not comforting. It's just reinforcing. Like I don't know. It's like just in a big fluffy duvet.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's probably the best way to say it. Yeah,
that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's next?
Yuletide. My fave.
Listen, it's also like, I feel like for me, like they're like right on the same page for
Yeah, that's fair.
favoriteness.
See, for me,
I love them for different reasons.
I feel like Yule is a time of year that you can really point out a lot more pagan stuff than any other season. And so I think part of that is why it holds such a heavy place in my heart, because I'm just like, but your Christmas tree, bitch, that is pagan. The star on the top of the tree is pagan. You know? So, you know, the gift giving, Santa, it's all fucking pagan. So that is why, right down to the reindeer. So that's why for me, it's such a good argumental piece.
You know, she's passionate
because
the F-bombs start coming.
Yeah, sorry.
Passion right here, baby. The Yule season got her.
Yeah. So there's many different stories come this Yule, and for me it was always the Wild Hunt that was like my favorite story, and it's essentially the dark cold days of winter have taken over, and that is when the Earth's axis is tilted from the furthest point from the sun. It is a perfect time to focus on your goals and remove blocks and other spiritual and emotional clutter that may be keeping us from moving forward as we wish. Look upon the Wild Hunt at Yuletide. Yule is where it is believed that the goddess gives birth to the divine god of the sun, which is why the days grow shorter, with the help of the crone to watch over the gods. So essentially, it's a time for protection and watching over. So a really beautiful thing about the Yuletide is Odin. So this is a bit more on the Nordic side. I'm eclectic. And so...
We'll get there.
Sorry. Odin takes his 8-legged horse, and an 8-legged horse in the sky could essentially be what? 8 reindeer, 8 legs, just saying. And Odin was also a shapeshifter. So he had spoke to the goddess, I can't remember her name, and all of the children who had passed away were released to come back down through Yuletide to be with their families. And it's a time when you go around hearth and home, and it's a time about coming back and celebration and sharing and giving. And that is exactly what Yule is. You can look up like each different sort of, you know, like the Celtic, the Aztec, everybody has like their little different niches when it comes to Yule. But we believe that it's celebrated over one day, and it's actually celebrated over many days. It can start anywhere the 22nd to the 23rd. Again, it kind of comes down to the astrology of where the Earth's axis is. And then it goes over. And I mean, it's Christmas. All the colors work. We know the golds, the silvers, the greens, the reds. Like, it's Christmas. We know this. And again, it's all about celebration, and I'm very much, it's more about intention than it is anything. And so if you don't have much and you only have purple, well, guess what, guys? Then use purple, because it's all about intention and making it your own. Because I really, that's what I'm hating, is like, just make it your own. Make it your own celebration. If this word doesn't work for you, then take it out. You know? And that's okay. And we're okay with that.
I cannot stop yawning down here, man.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, it's not your fault. I also just got that shiver. I'm like, oh, is Dalton coming to play again?
Oh, actually, so Colin saw Dalton on the weekend, and he
saw him.
Yeah, in his room. Dalton's the spirit. You might see him walking behind here, and he cried. And then I sat down and I was like, okay, so we have to have this conversation. So I was like, listen, Mom does so much work in the house. Like, nothing that comes in here is going to be bad. Dalton freaked me out when I first saw him too. He's a heavy energy, right? And there's a family connection there for him. So definitely he's not going to be like this evil entity. So he slept in my bed that night. But regardless, it was a good conversation.
Do you think V has seen him?
Yeah, she doesn't. So when the chair rocks, because he likes to sit in those chairs, she'll just tell people, "Oh, it's just the ghost. It's fine." Like she's like, there's just no fucks given. I don't think she's fully, because it's so normal.
Yeah.
That she just.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, it is what it is. I love that. Now we are at Candlemas, aka
Imbolc.
When does it occur?
February 1st and 2nd. It's the Celtic holiday. This is the Sabbat. It begins February 1st at sundown and goes until February 2nd at sundown. Bridget is a triple goddess of smithcraft, the hearth fire, and the flame of inspiration for bards and poets. Sometimes.
Yeah, that was like the bards, like the back in the day, like the keepers and stuff.
Didn't know they were referred to as bards.
I'm pretty sure.
My apologies. See, we learn new things every day, or relearn. Bridget is surrounded by flames or bright light. She was born at dawn, and the light was so bright when she came into the world, the cottage looked like it was on fire. She will lead you out of the darkness of winter. The god is now growing in size and strength. And, yeah.
So, I love Candlemas because it is always the time of year where I feel like my manifesting is at its strongest, because Bridget is the goddess of getting shit done. So, warning if you're going to work with her, she doesn't move clockwise, she moves counterclockwise, which will make you dizzy when not expecting it. And it was funny. So when I was working at Soul's Path, we actually did a ritual and asked Bridget to help us clean out the cottage, sage it, and they called in Bridget and nobody paid attention. So I was just sitting here and I'm like, I'm going to just speak this after, I'm not going to wreck it.
You don't pay attention
so
to Bridget.
we did our whole circle. We were like, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody like dispersed, but everybody dispersed counterclockwise. Okay. So I was just sitting there and I was like, oh shit. And then I realized, what's her number? 6. There were 6 of us. The woman who was leading it had like the 6, what is that, a hexagon?
Oh, the glasses?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 6. Like the 6.
Yeah,
I was wow.
That's crazy.
That's yeah, and then like people were like, oh, I'm kind of getting like really dizzy. And I was like, it's Bridget. She's going counterclockwise. And she's a great goddess.
Yeah, she's awesome. Great. You can actually find a meditation with Bridget on my Instagram, The Happy Green Witch. If we can, we will cross-post it over to Coven Co as well. Mm-hmm. But if not, at The Happy Green Witch.
Get her done.
There is indeed a Bridget meditation. It's a good one, actually. Yeah. Just saying.
She's also a triple goddess, so she can come to you, Mother, Maiden, Crone. Love working with the triple goddesses, especially when you're holding on to a lot of trauma. It is a really good way to help release, because you can work with the same goddess in the different stages of your life.
So what's going in shock? They don't get that I'm like trying to do some work here. Oh. I'm just endlessly yawning in your face. So I apologize, because I'm trying not to. And it just is happening. It's happening. Okay. I'm sorry.
So our next part of Wheel of the Year is Ostara, aka Spring Equinox, which will happen usually on March 20th, but it's essentially the first day of spring. It's going to be celebrated with, all your pastels. We already know that. The rabbit, the chicken,
the eggs,
the lamb. Lamb. It's true. The little baby lambs, right?
So cute. No.
Yes. So again, all the things that we did Christian is essentially pagan. But we just do a little bit different. Just a little bit.
Do you want me to read the blurb about it?
Yeah, if you want to.
It is the point in time where light balances dark, and the year starts waxing, and light will outshine the dark. A balance of masculine and feminine energy The world is coming alive while the sun is gaining strength. This is the time that the god and the goddesses begin their courtship, and it is represented by light green. It's also meant to represent the rebirth of life and where dark is overtaken by light. Right? It's like we've been under the soil, plant your seeds under the soil. The sun finally comes so we can start to grow.
It's true because when you look at it, right, like that the earth is thawing, even though there's still snow, right? Because the snow is actually heating up like the earth. So all the things that we thought are dead, no, they're growing because we're getting more light. Right. And so,
and the sun actually, or the snow. It's still recording. The snow
Edit that.
The snow actually amplifies the sun. Yeah.
Makes that shit more warm.
I was gonna say something else, and then
and then I wrecked it. Sorry.
Maybe
Two ADHDers decided to do a podcast. How do we?
You just did a peace sign. I still want the heart. Give me the hearts.
Yeah! Oh! What? I'm always looking away when it comes up.
Yeah, baby. Got it.
And next, we got Beltane.
I love Beltane.
A.K.A. Maeve.
Yeah.
Going around the merry pole.
The
merry pole. So this, I find, is a little bit more celebrated in European countries. They still really are about, like, the maypole. I feel like Western society...
Like, what's a maypole?
Yeah, they're just like, May 2 forward, where's the kid? You know what I mean? So, like, they don't really get it. So, this is a season of planting.
May 2 forward, where's the kid? That deserved a good laugh.
For planting and grazing. This is the celebration of the beginning of the summer. Flowers are the symbol of the Sabbat, and the ritual of dance are for the fertility. Because we have to remember that this is when everything is into reproducing. We're getting Twitter-pated, bitches. And if you don't know what Twitter-pated is, it's from Bambi, okay? Because a lot of people don't get that one. This is also when the union of the god and the goddess is supposed to bring good crop, healthy and strong.
Didn't get that one.
Twitter-pated? Go watch Bambi.
Go on. Listen.
So this is really the beginning of... This is really the beginning of when everything starts. It starts getting warmer. You start feeling better. You want to be outside. Things aren't fully in bloom, but you can tell, and it's that anticipation. So almost that excited energy. So essentially the god and the goddess are, they're starting to warm things up. They're really starting to fall for each other. And this is when everything starts to grow as their love for one another blossom.
It's true. Except we live in Canada, so it's still pretty cold during that time. Let's not kid ourselves.
It's true.
Sometimes we get lucky. I'm not bitter about it. It's fine. Next, I love Beltane, but I love a good midsummer, Letha, summer solstice, June 21st.
It's a good...
Anywhere from the 20th to the 23rd. I like to say 21st, June 21st.
Whatever's more convenient.
It's the start of summer, baby.
It's all the intention.
The fire, the warmth, and the heat. Ooh, I love summer. Like, give me all the heat. I'm wearing a blanket, okay? It's a little cold down here. I'm wearing a blanket. The day of summer solstice has the longest day of light and the shortest night hours of the year. When the sun hits the highest position in the sky, we are at the peak of the sun's powers. This is the greatest day of the sun's magic. The Sabbat is potent, and it's a very magical date. This is the best time for fire magic, bonfires, garden witchery, herbal and green magic, and the best night to connect with the elements and fairies. It is the time for nature to celebrate her achievements. This is where the goddess is pregnant with the god, and that is what is being celebrated.
Because all that shit's blooming.
That's right. First comes the flower, then comes the fruit.
And when you're doing rituals, again, this is a very popular time to work with the Fae. So there is some pretty awesome Fae that you can work with. But again, not for beginners. Next, we got Lunasa. Now, honestly, this word, I'm just going to show it to you. That word right there, it looks really intimidating. It's pronounced Lunasa. It's a Celtic term. So this is why it looks so complicated. So this usually happens July 31st to August 1st. It's the first harvest festival. It occurs on the halfway point of the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. It celebrates the gathering of the early grains and harvesting of the vegetables and the fruit. It is also a fire festival. It is the time of abundance, and it's a time to consider projects and goals you need to begin harvesting when bounty is all around you. The natural energy of abundance is all around you, and all you have to do is tap into it. So it's just one of those times where, you know, you could be looking at like, oh, summer's halfway over and like that sort of thing. Because I feel like that time of year, that's really what a lot of people get focused on is like, shit, summer's halfway done. And like, they're totally missing
the
right?
enjoyment.
And I also feel like that really speaks to like Cancer, Leo energy.
Not being present in the moment.
Yeah. Right? Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
She comes out with
Just
goods.
saying. And next up, we got Mayborn, Autumn Equinox. So
again, that was Mayborn, Autumn Equinox. September 21st
to 23rd. I got married on the 24th because that was the closest date I could get.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, September 24th.
I mean, I was there.
Such a good friend.
I know. I was there, and it was a great party.
It was a good time.
Actually.
It was a good time. So this is when this is also the second harvest. And it's a time when nature's preparing for winter. The leaves are changing, the days are slowly getting shorter, and the heat is slowly fading.
I think you took over. You just like plowed through me again.
I'm sorry.
She does it. It's her thing.
I do. Okay.
She's like, I got this.
Okay. And we get the fresh crisp
and she's not even in. Like you're not even in the frame.
I'm so much bigger than you.
No,
you're barely in the frame too.
Girl,
look at my
I'm
ass.
fully in the frame.
Is that better?
She told me.
Now I lost where I was. Okay, so you finish reading. This is the time.
This is the time that I get to finish the line.
To celebrate that you get to finish the line.
We make a great team, right?
Such a good team.
I mean, we were doing pretty good at the back and forth thing for a while there.
Yeah.
It happened. Okay, so this is the time at fall equinox that we celebrate our harvest and share it with those around us. In ancient times, you wouldn't wait for a certain day for your crops to be ripe. You would just call your friends when the crops were ready to go and share your abundance with them, quite like I did today.
Yes, absolutely.
Today, I went and cut down some basil, some parsley, and some dill. And those are drying upstairs now. Mm-hmm. Shared them. Yeah, so you should. Yeah. It's also the time of balance as the days and the nights grow equal once more with light and dark. And it is the time to get your home prepared for the rough winter ahead. At this point, the god is sleeping in the womb of the goddess, also known as the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is also Libra season, so this is why it's always calling to the scales and the balance. FYI.
It all relates and intertwines.
It really does.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, feel free to message us. We are completely and totally open to answering any questions, clarifying anything, because we do goof around a little bit. So
you could just leave a comment below. But also, if there's anything you disagree with, let us know.
1000%.
Or something that you like to do during any of those seasons. If you have a favorite ritual that you love to share, let us know. Tell us in the comments. Yeah. Or send us a message.
Yeah. Now we're getting on to...
We're going to do this together too?
The witches.
We thought maybe we would talk about different types of witches because there's a lot of different types of witches. Amanda and I are both what we like to call eclectic witches. You know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Sprinkle here, sprinkle there. I like this, I like that. Maybe I should use a little bit of this too.
And I feel like I feel like in anybody that we've met that is a witch, I feel like a lot of them have fallen under the eclectic umbrella. I don't think any of them have been like, I am strictly this.
Yeah, I agree.
And I wonder if it has to do with like the modernization of it all.
Of witches.
Yeah, just some
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think also too because like there was never I don't know where to go to find witches.
It's true.
Like there's not a community in my backyard that I'm openly aware of. I'm sure there is, but I just like I don't know how to find them. I'm not a good finder, I guess. And
yeah, and I think traditionally it's kept very secret.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know when I went on my search, the education I had was everybody was like, well, you have to be invited. I was like, well, how do I get invited?
Exactly. And
they were like, well, you have to go to like these things. And I was like,
and the internet has definitely opened everybody up to being able to practice and have their own ideas of what they like and what they don't like. So, yeah.
And I love the idea of it being like a good secret, like in like those movies, you know, like you go in like the underground chamber and everybody's got like a big like ritual suit. Like I love that idea, but I hate, I hate the idea of excluding people. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I hate that idea more than I do. Touché. Right? Like, so I'm just like, oh, like that sucks.
You want a speakeasy that everyone knows about.
Can I have my cake and eat it too?
So eclectic witches don't follow a certain religion or practice. Instead, we tune into our own intuition. Some like to call it their higher self and engage in practices that work for us. Might have certain rites or ceremonies that we observe derived from their own study of numerous schools of thought and witchcraft. However, these practices are largely their own creation and used for their own purposes alone. Hence, like me, like I don't always have the same ritual for everything. I'm like, ooh, I want to spice it up this way.
Yeah, and I get called to really different things, like depending on my mood. Like, you know, like, oh, I just feel very like Nordic-y right now, so I just want to, you know, do this. And I'm feeling very Celtic-y, so I want to do this. And, you know, the hoodoo and stuff, and, you know, just very mood-based for me.
Just to pause to go back to like, I know like the Wheel of the Year are definitely specific times that you can celebrate and do rituals. But don't forget that you can celebrate and do a ritual for anything at any point in time. Literally. We love full moon rituals. I love a good new moon ritual. The other night on the weekend, I did like a very personal ritual thing for like love and yeah.
Nice.
So, you know, you can do them at any time.
I've fallen a little out of alignment with my planned practices, if that makes sense. I find I'm a little bit more daily ritualistic. And I find when I'm out of my practice, I kind of get back down to like basics for me, which is kitchen witchery, which is where kind of things all started. Where I just used my intuition was really in the kitchen. So yeah.
I have, of course, like general, like daily rituals and things too, but I'm just like in general, like you don't need to wait for a specific time if you want to do a ritual or if there's something calling to you, get her done.
Absolutely.
However, that may not be how a traditional witch may work. Bringing us to traditional witches.
Yeah. They have a base in the history of witchcraft and the old craft that came before Wicca. They often study their ancestors and folklore attached to witchcraft. They want to honor the old ways. They work with the spirits and hold higher regard to the old history and customs. According to the British tradition, which Michael Howard, the term refers to any non-Gardnerian, non-Alexandrian, non-Wiccan, or pre-modern form of the craft, especially if it has been inspired by historical forms of witchcraft and folk magic. Another definition was offered by Daniel A. Schulich, the current magister of the cultus sabbati, when he proclaimed that the traditional witchcraft refers to a coiture of I don't know.
Initiatory
lineages of ritual magic, spellcraft, and devotional mysticism.
Oh, so traditional refers to a coterie of initiatory lineages of ritual magic. Okay, so you had to be like initiated down from your lineage, and that was the only way to be.
Which I feel
makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, where I just kind of feel like, but like if I got booted out of like my lineage in my old body and I came here, then like this is just a ship, you know? Like I'm still in here. So why are you kicking me out? Right? Like that's how I feel.
I don't know if I understood what you said, but I get you. Okay, wait, what?
Okay. So let's say your lineage is in this traditional
Okay, right.
And you pass away.
Right.
But then you're reincarnated into me.
Yes.
And now you're getting called to that.
Yes.
But you can't get in because of your lineage.
Because of my new lineage, because I don't know.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's...
Yeah. Which I feel like is probably how a lot of traditional witches were lost, because we were burned at the stake
and all of our like family members. So that's why it just doesn't make sense to me, because like you wouldn't come back to that same family because they essentially killed them all.
It's true. All right, next, this guy. You're gonna do this guy because this one's heavy for me. He feels heavy. Gerald Gardner.
Gardnerian witch. Founded by Gerald Gardner, also known as the father of Wicca, in the 1950s. Those who practice have strong ties to nature, challenge social norms, and have many rituals that are foundations of their practice. In order to be a Gardner witch, you must be initiated. Members cannot initiate themselves. There is also an incredible structure system of advancing as a witch and with your practices as you grow and learn more about your craft. Grenaderian Wiccans organized into covens that traditionally not always are limited to 13 members. Covens are led by high priestesses and a high priest of her choice and celebrate both the god and the goddess. Membership is gained only by initiation by a high priest or high priestess. In all cases, the Grenaderian Wicca absolutely forbids any members to share their name, personal information, fact of membership, and so on without advance individual consent of the member for a specific instance of sharing. Wiccans often refer to being in or out of the broom closet to make exactness of the parallel clear. That is heavy.
Yeah, you can't get in unless you're secretly invited.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also cool. Cause like it's
I feel like it's like that ceremony, like, you know, dungeon. Here's your cloak, and like go down and chant with everybody.
But then, like you said, you're like, I'm like, I already feel excluded.
Yeah, like not in a bad way. I'm just kind of like, well, how do I know if it's for me?
True.
You know, like
true.
Yeah. Because sometimes
what if I want to try that on?
Yeah. Like
and then what if I don't even like it?
Yeah, because sometimes like I want to be in a coven and sometimes I want to be solitary, and I think that both is fine.
Yes.
And sometimes
I think sometimes you need.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like sometimes you need the extra oomph in something, and yeah.
All right. Well, next we have let's like maybe. There's quite a bit, so maybe
go with like. This guy, that guy, and green edge.
I mean, there's a few good ones. So, the Alexandrian witch was founded by Alexander, also known as the King of Witches. It's based on Garderian, however you say gardener's name, the Wicca practices, but it incorporates elements of ceremonial magic and the Qualbala too, classified under the British traditional Wicca and is one of the most widely recognized traditions. There's also augury witch, someone who whose task is to find out whether the gods approve of a particular course of action taken by an individual. They do this by interpreting sacred signs and omens that the individual has encountered on their spiritual journey. There's ceremonial witches, Dianic, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Fairy witch.
Of course.
Yeah, there's fairy witch.
Green witch.
Green witch is important. We've got a lot of green witches.
You're the happy green witch, bitch.
I'm like, oh yeah, me too. Communicates with Mother Earth and works with her energies, uses natural items and places such as oak trees, groves, or lakes in her rites and rituals. Basically to be closer to the divine spirit and sense more strongly in nature. Generally likes to work a lot in the kitchen too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also floral witches who like to use a lot of florals and herbal witches who use predominantly herbs. You love hedge witch, right?
Mm-hmm. Hedge witch has the ability to venture into other worlds and communicate with the spirit realm. She specializes in deliverance of spiritual messages into our physical realm and vice versa.
And then
hedge would also mark a boundary of a village or settlement and thus represents the boundary between our physical reality and the spiritual world.
And then, of course, there's the astrology witch. I love me some astrology, as we all know. Someone who's all about astrology and likes to work that into their magic as well. Hereditary witches, I feel are also kind of like similar to traditional, like they're born in, right?
Yeah. I feel like the little bit of a difference is it's a little bit more based on passing it down. It's like what we're doing with our kids. They could essentially be hereditary witches.
Kitchen witch.
Yeah, bitch. Kitchen witch, again, is just using a lot more of your intuition. She practices with her tools to engage in rituals, ceremonies, and magic. So this person's probably going to use a lot more stuff that you can find in your kitchen. She's not going to be using a wand. She's going to have a wooden spoon, that type of thing. Her pots or cauldron. There you go.
There's a shaman, solitary witch, crystal witch. Again, back to the eclectic. Anything else in there?
Peculiar witch. They're kind of
Celtic
cool.
witch. Green witchcraft, healer, hearth witch, divination.
And a hearth witch is just somebody who likes to work like within the home and all like the different aspects of the home.
Of course, there's the lunar witch. We work with the moon. I'm also one of those.
Sigil or word witch. See, I've never met a word. Yeah, I like sigils.
I'm like, you're a sigil witch for sure. You love sigils. Don't say you're not one.
My wall that's not painted has sigils on them right now.
I don't know, sigil witch. Oh, wait.
I'm eclectic, okay?
That's right. It's the coolest part.
Right. So you don't necessarily, I don't think I've ever met anybody who has been like, I am said type of witch. Like, I feel like everybody's been a little eclectic. And if they're not like, if they're just like, well, I just know how to do it this way, show me that way. And so like that is kind of what's really cool, I feel like, with it opening up and everybody like, you know, the good part of the information on the internet is we're just sharing information. So I feel like a lot of people are be like, oh, well, that's really cool. I didn't know that, you know? So,
yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, Wicca.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different witches.
There's pages.
There's so much, yeah. Literally just type of witches. Yeah. Look at pages of information for yourself.
1000%.
But those are some of the basics that we like and generally use because we're eclectic.
Exactly.
We use a little bit of everything. I think that's it for today.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Next time.
Bye.